All right, we're here today with the Milwaukee Fuel brushless pole saw, and we got the HC 12.0 amp hour battery in there, so it's pretty heavy. But this tool is very well received by our crew. They really like this, you know, for storm work. It's great on off. You know, nothing to start. I like the profile. It's sleek, and you're never gonna burn your pants with this. You know, with the gasoline, I've burned more chaps and pants and shirts with a pole saw, a power stick saw, than I have with any other tool. And of course, this has no hot muffler on it. So what we have here is some training pruning that we're going to be doing, and I can probably get some of it done. I may not do finish cuts with this. I might try some finish cuts on some temporary branches. You know, on training pruning, these lower branches are temporary. They're coming off eventually. I probably won't take them all the way off today, because that would be too many cuts all in one spot, and we want to keep growing the diameter of this. But I might bring it down to here, and I might bring it down to here. So maybe I can make a finish cut on this with this, but I'm probably climbing up in there later with my saddle on. But I can probably extend this out, and you know, maybe I can reach up there and get some of that top reduced out of there, and then I can go up there and maybe make a finish cut up closer with a different saw. But my central leader is right there. He kind of leans back this way. I mean, that other side looks like it's more, you know, it's higher, but I think we'll be better off using this one that goes up the main stem. You know, that's a auxiliary branch, a lateral that is taking off, and we can reduce that, slow it down, and let this one be the main one. So it's a little, you know, pruning for apical dominance for a central leader, and we'll get off some of these lower ones. I'll probably leave some climbing stuff on, since I'm probably hand climbing this. So let's see here. It's just on off. Your switch is right here, and it's ready to go. So I am going to reduce this one to here. That's nice. All right, we got soft ground today, so we'll make a couple marks. And then we'll probably reduce this even further and take it to here. All right, now let's see what we can do with a finish cut. This is a temporary branch overall. We got pretty good chain speed there. We were able to just shave something off there. So that's the problem with a lot of these pole saws, is you don't have the chain speed to get a good finish cut. So let's see how we can do on this one. Wow. That's good chain speed. You can actually make a finish cut if you take your time. Wow. All right, we'll make this smaller. Wow, you can really take control with that. So on a finish cut, you want to kind of go opposite the branch bark ridge. So you see the branch bark ridge there, and you kind of go the opposite side of that. We got a little sap drippage here in the springtime, but this is a temporary branch, you know, so we don't have to fuss around with exact stuff here. But yeah, so we're reducing this to slow it down so that this caliper slows down as this caliper keeps growing. And so then when we make this final cut, maybe in 3 years, the ratio of this size to this size will be better. This one's coming off completely. I think I'm going to take this off completely. That's pretty smooth. You can make a pretty smooth finish cut. Now here we'll gonna make a finish cut here. Pretty nice. That's smooth. All right, we'll take these low ones off. It got that before it even sat. I cut from the... All right, we'll leave these lower ones on. We're gonna reduce that a little bit. All right, this extends out nicely. Nice big positive locking handle there. That's nice. Now I can comfortably reach this. Now this is a little harder to make a finish cut. I am going to climb up there, but it has such a good chain speed that you can really get a smooth cut with it. All right, I'm going to reduce this one as well. So again, a lot of times if you don't want to make finish cuts with this at height, because it's harder to control it up high, yeah, I can just leave that, and when I climb up there, I can cut that off by hand. I think the rest of that's too tall for me to comfortably reach from the ground. So I'm gonna climb up in that. But it's starting to look better already. I'm not gonna take that side all the way off. I'm gonna kind of, you know, I'll pick and choose. I may go slower on that just to get some caliper growing here. But I could take it down to the lowest one on there, or I could, you know, pick and choose some other ones up there. But this is gonna prune up nicely. I'll make a finish cut with my handsaw on that. I'm going to take off some lower ones here. I don't even have my pruning saw on me. I could jump up in there. I've got an extension pruner. I could just snip some of those computers up there at the top. But there'll be plenty of time in the future to reduce that top. But I could probably narrow it down. I'm probably going to take that right side one, has the nicest, tallest one, take off a couple of these others, get that really going. Well, we'll finish up with the pole saw here on the two in the back. I've got some bigger cuts. So this Milwaukee stick saw is really nice. Every arborist I've heard talk about this says, man, this thing's for real. Milwaukee hit it out of the park with this one. So they sent me this for review. So this is technically a paid promotion, but I have no problem promoting this saw. It is a beautiful tool. So this one, I think we're gonna reduce this down to here, but I've got my extension all the way out. I'm gonna go up here and take some smaller pieces off. Let's get this off. Do a little notch. Yeah, that works pretty well. All right, let's try our hand at a finish cut here. This is probably overall a temporary branch. We'll be taking it off in the future. And that one, I think we're gonna bring it down to here anyways, but I got a little close to the branch bark ridge on that one. So finish cuts are tricky. Not recommended to do finish cuts with this. Oh, let's just cut this out of there. Look at that drip. We really have sap flow going. There we go. Probably do a cleaner cut when I get up in there. All right, anything else I can take off the pole saw? I think so. I'm gonna reduce this one. So this is nice. I mean, for storm work, this would be a great saw. I'm gonna finish up with the climbing saw from Milwaukee on this. All right, so we've got a situation up there. We can take that whole side off. Come on, tip over. Oh, it didn't reach through all the way. We're gonna try this a little differently. We'll hinge it off of there. We'll make a finish cut up closer. All right, that one I'll probably reduce to there. I'll be a little more conservative on that. Because that's a nicely attached branch. That's probably a permanent branch. We just got to slow it down a little bit compared to the leader. So I think that's gonna shape up nicely. I'll do another reduction cut up in here on this side. And the last thing I'll do is take off some of the lower ones as I come down. But I'm hand climbing up into these with my saddle on, so gotta leave some ladder rungs. All right, our last one. We got 4 training prunes at this house. We've got obviously our central leaders right there. I can climb up in there, and we've got some selecting to do at the top to get that more focused. But this has some pretty good form going on. We could take this lower one all the way out. Let's reduce it a little bit just to take it a step at a time. Let's get a tip out of there. So we could leave it right there, kind of slow it down. You know, when you're doing this training pruning for clients, you know, you make some decisions based upon aesthetic. Yeah, finish cuts are tough with this, folks. Yeah, you have to work with how's the tree look right now. We were doing some municipal pruning a week ago, and I was much more aggressive on those municipal trees, and it was at the request of the forester because they have a 5 to 7 year pruning schedule. Well, you want to get your money's worth and not have a lot happens in 5 to 7 years, so you have to go hard and get the structure going. You know, here we get in here every 2 years, and so you can see some of our previous cuts, they were pretty conservative. And now I'm getting a little more aggressive here because I've got more tree to work with. But we still want to be cognizant of what's this look like when the client comes home. You know, it just is a fact of life with residential clients, because every branch to them is kind of precious. So, and we'll probably keep some of these lower ones, but take some off, spread out the number of cuts we're making. We'll probably take off this bigger one for sure, and then maybe the smaller one opposite and that back one, and leave this front one. We'll see. Kind of walk a mile, see a mile as we take one off at a time. All right, well, hey, this saw, I think that's the last cut I'm going to make with this one. Let's see, maybe I can make one more. Yeah, I am gonna slow this down. We're gonna take this out of here, at least down to here. We'll do a finish cut here from the tree. Oh, I got my saw. no damage. That's something you gotta be considerate of. You don't want a limb coming across your bar here and bending this thing. I should have got out of there a little faster. Oh, I broke off a little piece there. So I'll make that finish cut up there, and we'll probably reduce this one on this side a little bit. We'll take off the inside one, and then again, when you're thinking about the central lead, like we've got some small branches on there we're going to leave on, because that's probably a permanent branch coming out there that's just about a 1/2 inch in diameter. You want to leave that, but I can reduce that other one in front of it, give it a little space. And we've got actually I can reduce it all the way down to that bottom one to slow it down even more. I can make one more cut. Oh gosh, this branch got in my way and pushed me. Wow, I lucked out. Okay, I didn't wreck the that's a temporary branch again, so I'm not too concerned about a snafu there, but still, this is not a finisher tool. Make your finish cuts up close. But the Milwaukee fuel, we probably didn't even touch. Well, it's not talking to me. Guess it doesn't tell me how much I have left while I have it in there, but this would probably last all day, this battery, this 12 amp hour. But yeah, this is a great tool, great ergonomics. Look at this underneath. little scrunch tool tucked away right in there. I think all the saws the bigger saws have these too. I don't know that the climber has one. I'll double check in a little bit here, but on off switch is right there. That's kind of convenient, just on, and then you can pull the trigger. And this is a very nice positive locking extension, and with it all the way in, it's pretty. You could, if you're gonna try any finishing cuts, trying it while it's all the way in is definitely more manageable than otherwise. I could probably just cut some of these low ones off and leave a stub for me to climb on. All right, let's go get the climber saw. All right, I've got my little Zubat pruning saw, fine tooth. For this lighter pruning. So this is a 330 millimeter is what 330 stands for, Zubat. It's by Silky. I just have it in my Segoy sheath here, so it doesn't positively lock. And I'm in my Camp Tree Access XT saddle, and I'm gonna put my lanyard in front so that I can use it like a 2-in-1 lanyard, or like a moving rope system. Once I get in the tree, I can put this on, and I'm going to be on my front position, and then I can come back into itself, and I can have like a regular work positioning system. And my second side, which is a true second side, could be just used, you know, as a secondary lanyard on the center. And that works really well for these types of situations. So I took this all the way off. I'm gonna have to struggle to get up here. Could put my lanyard up there. Let's do that. Get myself a top rope. Come on. So, somebody coming? Oh, I just pinched myself. Didn't exactly wear my pruning boots. Just jerk myself up in there. All right, I don't have to get up too high here. These autumn blaze type maples, this is actually a Sienna Glen, I think. It might be an autumn blaze. It's a pretty nice form for an autumn blaze. Am I gonna want to stand on that? Oh. On this little 3/4 inch. There's a bald eagle. It's pretty cool. All right. All these unions are pretty tight. Now, this is going to be my central leader up here. This one on the house side. So I can go right up there. Let's go around this one. It'll come off easier. That 3/4 inch branch will hold me from this angle. I can come right back here. Let's get right in the middle. Come on. There we go. All right, so this camp gyro, you can set this up as a moving rope system. Obviously, I'm just using it for work positioning. I'm not gonna run on this and break through the bark. All right, so we have this little finish cut to do. So here you go. Here's the quintessential finish cut with a pole saw. That's why we don't do finish cuts with pole saws. I think the chain speed on the pole saw is better than the chain speed on this saw. We'll have to try those side by side. The pole saw sounds like it's faster than the top handle. All right, let's get ourselves sucked up here. Wow, how did I get on both sides of my... There we go. That's why. All right. Question is, where am I going to bring this down to? Let's get all the way up in here. So I can be up close and personal. Am I going to bring this all the way down to here? I think I am. Right to here. I guess technically now I can go from the middle to the side. So I technically have two tie-ins. It'd be interesting how that would be considered, because this is a newer tool that the ANSI might not be taking into account. But this is like a hard separation, but it might be considered a single lanyard. So you can't have two tie-ins on a single apparatus, but it's definitely a double apparatus. But I'm going to be making a handsaw cut up here anyways. Let's get this off. This is coming off. This is coming off. And I'm gonna take off this one too. We're gonna go all the way down. Because this is temporary. We're gonna take it right to there. Now you can definitely tell that this Zubat doesn't cut as fast as the Silky Sugoi, because it gets clogged up when you're making a larger cut. The sawdust kind of sticks in the teeth. But it definitely makes a nice finish cut. Very smooth. Now this we're gonna take this. Finish cut. So your angle of cut is basically opposite the branch bark ridge. Of course, this is a temporary branch, so it's not that big of a deal right now. As is that one, a temporary branch. It's going to come off down here. All right, I think we're done with the top. So I can lower myself out. So that's a temporary branch, but it's got a lot of factory on it, so I'm just slowing it down can lower myself into my other side here. I could get myself all the way to the ground. Maybe. So this was originally the 7-meter lanyard. It's a little shorter because I've modified it. So I was able to lower myself out. Hopefully I didn't burn the top side of that maple branch too badly. So this is gonna push. I've got a couple of smaller branches on that central leader that are gonna really take off. And the central leader is gonna jump. Now maybe I could have brought a pruner up and narrowed that down, but that can be done in the future. That has direction now. All right, let's keep moving. So these work nice. For making some finer cuts at the top that you can't do with a pole saw. All right, I'm gonna take this chainsaw off of my hip. We're gonna take off some of these. I'm gonna take this off too. Keep that on there for a climbing partner. All right, does any of this need to be thinned out? I'll take off this lower one. This is temporary. That, you know, in the yard like this, that might be permanent. We'll leave that on there. We're just gonna jump up in there and snip off a couple of those ones up on top with our pruner. See our best avenue up here. This might be my best way up. Mercy. This, I'm gonna bend my little pruner. Get that out of my way. Again, I got my clunky boots on. All right. I better just get myself hooked in. Now look at these swivels. Like, to get that untangled on a normal lanyard, you just wouldn't. You would have to unhook something. All right, so am I tall enough now? I can just stand up here, shorten my lanyard. All right, so this is my central leader. Let's see, we got a little switch up here. How do you open this? Oh, right there. All right. Wow. All the plants of mice and men. Look at that. Now we can get up in there and take that other one. How do I get in there? We can get this little guy off. We can clean this up later. We just gotta slow it down. Alright, we got a central leader. Weak little tool. We'll climb up in here. All right, that's looking pretty good. This one will go like this. You know, this is a good example here. Always take the inside one, because this might be the permanent branch. So you create space for these ones. And don't go taking these off, because that's feeding our central leader. But you can take these off, because they're just feeding this one, which might be temporary. But this might be permanent. You know, who knows? Time will tell. Now here we got a little bit of a crowd. Probably take off this lower one of these. Oh, just lost my pruner. And we're going to take off the inside one of this. This one's going to be pretty dominant. Let's get my other arm up here and give myself some stability. Slow that down a little bit. We're going to slow this one down a little bit. We will definitely slow this one down a little bit. And this one. Oops. Got a funky angle there. So that's probably a temporary branch, so I'm not too concerned. All these down here below me are temporary, as is this one. So this one we can slow down. Take that off. Take that off. Okay, we're gonna get in position to make this cut. This is a finish cut on the main stem. This one's kind of in my way, and it's not a good branch, so we're gonna take this one out of there. It's impeding my finish cut. Okay, again, that angle, it's about opposite the bark ridge. So whatever angle this is, you just pick an angle opposite that bark ridge. And you don't injure the bark ridge. I braided the trunk a little bit. There's a good example to show you. Do you see the chlorophyll underneath the bark? You know, these trees are photosynthesizing in the sunshine here, irrespective of the fact that they don't have leaves on them. That chlorophyll is getting sunshine. Might take this one all the way off when I get down. Hopefully I don't get my carabiner stuck up there. All right. Yeah, we're taking that lower one all the way off. You can stub it. If you don't stub it, you better support it. All right. So now we can thin this out a little bit. This lower one can come off. All right, I think I'm taking this off too. We'll cut from the bottom to get the right angle. All right. That one is off to the races. So a fair amount of brush on the ground, but a lot of canopy left on the tree. Oh, I guess I left that little rat's nest up there. That wasn't very observant of me. Got it. All right. So we are, as a company, we're promoting training pruning, and we actually send out renewals. So this was a 2-year renewal on this training prune. We just sent them out, a few weeks ago, and she sent it back, and here we are. And now in 2 years, we'll send out another renewal, and she'll probably send it back. And we'll have these trees just doing the best that they can. All right, so we've got our initial cuts. We got to do some finish cuts up there, and I can get up high enough to do some reductions on the top. I think I can get up high enough. If I leave that stub, I can stand on that stub and use my handsaw. I won't need this. I might hear one of our trucks coming. That would be helpful. It did generate a fair amount of brush. Here. Okay, we're definitely gonna take off this one. And we're gonna take off this one. probably taking off this one. Now this is probably a temporary branch, but we can reduce it right to here. Because that one really wanted to take off and compete. Oops, little overrun, look at that. Knock on it. That's temporary anyways. But that's why we try not to make finished cuts with the chainsaw where a follow through would matter. Yeah, I'm probably gonna reduce this. I'll get up in there and do that from up there. A little bit of hand climbing. Okay. We hit that with another branch. We're probably going to take that off anyways. Let's get hooked right back into the second point of attachment on. So this is coming from the middle to my right side. So that's legal. I'm gonna reduce this and not take it off. This might be a permanent branch, but I'm not sure. It's got a nice attachment there. See, this one is coming off over here. Oops. Through this mess here, get my lanyard up there. All right, where's my other end? Get myself a top rope here. Pull it. There we go. All right. Isn't that nice how that works? Very nice moving rope system. So again, I'm not sure if this is legit on the ANSI to be working off. You know, it says not to work off two sides of a double lanyard, and this is a double lanyard, but the technology of this lanyard is different than, you know, the old school double lanyard. I imagine it has to do too with, does the lanyard get you to the ground? Well, this one, from this height, I might just get to the ground. I thought I'd be a little closer. This one off. Okay. That's my central leader. Wow, I could have used my clipper. Let's get myself just snugged up here. So I'm a little closer. Wow, just need a little bit more. Holy mackerel, that wasn't altogether nice. Alright, well, we can train those later when this is a little bigger. We can stand up in here and do that pruning. We've got a few more reductions down here we can do. Might reduce this, change the angle. That's not very nice. And we'll do this. Could take that off. Wow. Okay. Finish with a true finish cutter. Yeah, I still got it. I'm gonna mar up that whole thing here. Man, tough to do. Springtime with these, you know, everything's starting to move. It's hard to do maples. That tree's a lot thinner than it was. why I wear a helmet. Right there. Wow, it's looking pretty good. Might take off a little bit more off that other side. It's a pretty low branch over there, but it's just over the garden. So I might leave it just aesthetically for the client. I think that might be better to have this one on there. All right, that's kind of the south and west. So I took off kind of a bad lateral over there that was going straight up alongside there, so that's why that looks a little emptier over there, but it's got some good scaffolding branches that are going to grow right out into that space, and it'll grow rapidly on the south and west side of the tree. All right, you know, I could have reduced that other one up there a little bit, but we can get that in subsequent years. Should have brought my little guy up. I could have done one last cut up there, but that'll be all right. Shouldn't be much happening up here. Got a couple of finish cuts, and then, you know, reining in that. I might take off 2 out of those 3 that are competing with the top leader. Take off the 2 side ones there. We're a little empty on this side of the tree. I took off 2 real vertical ones. Yeah, that'll fill in this year. I don't think I'll need this. So yeah, both of those that I reduced are really poor quality branches. They just happen to be growing in the same location, you know. So this side of the tree got a little more pruned than the other side, but you know, you can't leave that and you can't leave that. So hopefully one of these small little auxiliary shoots will drive out into this area. I think it will. I'm gonna go right up there. I gotta use these stubs that I'm gonna be cutting off to stand on. Should get lanyarded in here pretty soon. What's the rule? 6 feet off the ground, I think you're supposed to be tied in. Come on, Cap. Get tied in. Can I reach that stuff? I'd like to get a little closer to be a little more comfortable. Got the same situation as the last one. The top rope and nothing to stand on. I've got a little guy to stand on. Boy, that one looks really good from across the yard. Okay, I think I'm gonna reduce this and not do the finish cut so that I have something to stand on right there, and I can stand right here. Wait, I'm gonna make this a this straight up. Oh, drawing my sword. All right, this is way better than the last tree. I should be able to make some nice finish cuts. So let's get the weight off first though. Oh, we got wind. Oh, stabbing my leg. Almost impossible not to have some of those in the springtime on maples. Reduce this, get this out of there. Take this down to here. Can reduce this a little bit. I think in this case I'm going to leave this inside one, take the outside one, because the outside one is more vigorous. And is this a temporary branch? It might be. I don't know, might be permanent. Yeah, because this one might take over here. We got options. I'm going to take this one. Ordinarily I take the inside one, but you know, this one might be the permanent one in the long run. We'll reduce it there next time. Or we might reduce it down to that one. Who knows? Now we'll make our finish cut here. There will be some decay that goes down in here, but this is just small compromises. If this is one day a 10-inch diameter branch, that little pocket of decay won't be much of a deal. I'm gonna leave that. probably not gonna. Take this off. We're down to fine tuning now. That's staying. Now the question is, can I take that all the way out? Is that branch missed? I could take it all the way off. I'm just gonna do it. Yeah, that was right. All right, finished cut. I suppose I should put a second point of attachment on. Even though neither attachment is close to where I'm cutting. Am I out of battery? No way. Wow. I must have used that a lot more at the last job. I did use that quite a bit in the lift. That's okay. This is probably the more appropriate saw to finish this cut with. These little guys are on one that's going to be temporary, so I can take these off because they're just feeding the wrong guy. But like this little one, I want to leave. This little one I'm going to leave. Oh, he got beat up by my chainsaw probably. This one I'm going to leave because this might take off because of this cut here. The tree will respond. Get all the way to the ground. Might be able to. It's a nice union to get out of. Oh, how did I get all wrapped up like that? How did I get on both sides? Wow. Look at this. Look at that. I got it all on one side now. It's a beautiful thing. I don't know that I can get to the ground. I can't. I'm just above the ground. There we go. right, now we're gonna take off the lower ones. I think we'll take off these 4 cuts on the bottom. So again, don't damage the bark ridge. These have branch collars. You don't want to damage the branch collar. All right, let's step back and yeah, it's got a nice central leader. A little crowded in here still, but that's okay. Got a little hanger in here. We can buzz this off. Get these little ones off. All right, the rest can stay. Yeah, that'll work. Gamey trees, we're having fun. Like and subscribe. So here's some training pruning. And we'll send out a renewal 2 years from now, and we'll be back here and we'll do some more Gamey trees. We're having fun.
There's always a risk when you're playing the game of trees.